Hey, this is Shadowrun, episode 7. You really came through for me, boss. You ever need anything from me, anything at all, then you call on me. I'll come running. Don't worry about it, Dietrich. I'm just glad that everything worked out okay. In odds, it did, but it wouldn't have without your help. Alexander had a rough go of things so far in life. Thanks to you, I'll be able to give him a second chance. He's a good kid, that nephew of mine. Give him some time, and he'll shake Stahl's programming. It might take a while, but he'll adjust to life here in Cruz Bazaar. In the meanwhile, I've found a good home for him. Samuel's agreed to take him in. Is that wise? Samuel's employees have no love for humans. Most of them don't even like humans. The best thing for the kid would be to learn through immersion. If he stays with Samuel's group, he'll have no choice but to interact with meta-humans. Soon enough, he'll learn that they're no different than anyone else. First few days will be rough, no question, but he'll make it through and come out the other side a better man for it. He seems like a tough kid. I don't doubt you're right. Dietrich claps you on the shoulder. You're a good man, boss. On to other things. Remember what I was telling you back before we climbed into the van? Yeah, you were saying that the Dragon Slayer was happy and that he'd give you a reward. That's right. Thanks to our, let's not mince words, heroic actions back at that swine pit, the Dragon Slayer has seen fit to grant me his favor. His grin widens. And now I know what that means and what I can do with it. I'm listening? Well, he has seen fit to grant me a new ability. He gestures at the ground near his feet, namely this. As you watch, the spot that Dietrich is pointing at begins to glow. Lines of force spreads out in the scintillating web, and a feeling of raw power suffuses his body. I've just torn open a channel between myself and the Dragon Slayer. That power that you feel is his power, pouring through the aether and into that spot. If you're familiar with ley lines, it's the same basic concept. I consecrate a patch of ground, and as long as I stand in that spot, all of my magic gets stronger. He crosses his arms over his chest. Not bad, huh? What about another mage or shaman? Could someone else benefit from one of these channels too? He shrugs. Don't see why not. Like I said, it's basically a ley line. As long as you're on the Dragon Slayer's good side, I don't see why you couldn't use it. My idol, he isn't stingy with his gift. Anyway, boss, I want to keep fiddling with this, learning to properly control it. And I'm sure that you've got things to do as well. You take care of whatever else that needs doing. And by our next run, I'll be ready to use this. Sounds good. Take care, Dietrich. You too, boss. As you approach, Iger turns to face you. Her rifle has been field stripped and is lying in pieces on a sheet of butcher paper. Arranged in a neat row along the edge of the paper are bottles of copper solvent, bore cleaner and lighter fluid. Our fearless leader returns. What do you need? Have you ever heard of an organization called the Lodge? Afraid not. If it's a Berlin thing, you might be better off talking to one of the others. They've all been here longer than I have. I'd like to hear about your time in the KSK. She shakes her head. No, I'm not in the habit of sharing war stories, Dystopia. Not with people who've never served. Doesn't have to be a war story. I just want a better idea of who I'm running with. She looks you in the eye a moment, evaluating. Finally she shrugs. All right, Dystopia, you win. I owe everything to my time in the KSK. From my street name on down. So you tell me what you want to know, and we'll see where this goes. Tell me about your street name. Back when I was in basic training, a fellow recruit made a vulgar joke at my expense. He said that I reminded him of the north face of Eiger in the Bernese Alps. Huge and beautiful, but dangerous to climb. His tone left little doubt as to what sort of climbing he had in mind. I think that he was trying to proposition me in his clumsy way, poking me in front of the other recruits to try to provoke a reaction. She shrugs. Anyway, he got one. I broke 3 of his ribs, and the name stuck. Served him right. Nigger regards you with a critical eye. You might actually mean that. But then, you may just be trying to get on my good side. Anyone who uses a line that bad deserves to get smacked around a little. She nods. For once, we're in complete agreement. But there was more to it than that. As soon as that idiot made his little joke, it was a foregone conclusion that I was getting saddled with the nickname Iger. My only choice in the matter was whether it happened under his terms or under mine. If I hadn't broken that twat's ribs, the name Iger would have meant a difficult sexual conquest to a whole barracks full of recruits. That's what I would have been to them from that point on. My own accomplishments be damned. Thanks to what I did, my new name meant the troll who doesn't take shit from anyone. Instead, it's a name I'm proud to go by, and I've hung on to it ever since. Iger pauses for a moment, then looks you in the eyes. A word of advice to you, Dystopia. If anyone ever puts you in a position that he put me in, if he demeans you in front of your unit, whatever his intent, the appropriate response is to put that person down, hard. Out to the field, nothing will kill you faster than losing the respect of your team. By that logic, I should have broken your ribs after Monica died. In your place, I would have. She looks you up and down, praising you. Not that you'd have succeeded if you tried, but in terms of saving face, it would have done wonders. In all seriousness, Dystopia, I'm sorry that I put you in that position. I shouldn't have, and I acknowledge that. She straightens. Need anything else, or can I get back to prepping for our next run? Tell me about your team. She nods. Fair enough. I guess that you earned it. There were 8 of us, 2 commando squads, working together as a single unit. Schmidt and Lang were combat deckers. Wolf was our rigger and combat engineer. Fisher handled demolitions. Braun was a medic, and the rest of us, Metzger, Kruger, and myself, were weapons experts. Our mission was extraterritorial, technically illegal, but important enough to justify the risk. We'd been sent across the border into Poland. The Russian mafia had set up a cottage industry in human trafficking all along the Oder-Nissi line, and it was our job to disrupt it. That sounds more like a police action than a military operation. Wouldn't the GSG usually handle that kind of thing? Typically, yes. But in recent years, the Russian mob has become more and more heavily militarized. The brass decided that they posed enough danger to the region to qualify as a terrorist threat, and that brought them under our purview. Anyway, we were a good team, experienced. We went through a lot together, and we chalked up a lot of kills. In our own way, I'd like to think that we did some good. Who was in command? Metzger, best leader I've ever had the pleasure of serving under. Her face clouds. He was a hell of a man. But he went down with the rest of the team, everyone but me. What happened to the team? She shakes her head. No, that's one story that I won't be telling. They died, that's all you need to know. Thanks, Iger. So, was there something else that you wanted to talk about? Or can I get back to cleaning my rifle? Any thoughts about that last run? Nothing we haven't already talked about. No more questions. Thank you, Iger. She turns back to the disassembled components of her rifle. Sure thing, Furious Leader. Good talk. Gloria's expression remains distant, but her lips curl upwards into a hint of a smile. Dystopia, need something? Everything still okay with you? You never need to worry about me, Dystopia. I'm fine. I'd still like to know more about that Kroner reporting. That's not a story that I'm interested in telling out of context. If you really want to get into it, we're going to need to go back, way back. She stares at you with cold, dead eyes. I'm not sure that you want to do that. You say that you'll give me answers when we talk about your past, so let's talk about it. Why do you care? There's no hostility in her voice. If anything, she sounds suspicious. Because I'm the leader of this team, and I need to know as much as I can about the runners who are working with me. She pauses for a moment, considering. Then she nods. All right, fine, we can talk, but we're doing it on my terms. This is a long story, Dystopia. Long and ugly and cruel. Are you sure you want to hear this? Please. All right, I'm going to start at the beginning. Not for you, for me. I guess that it might help me to say all of this out loud. She takes a deep breath, then slowly releases it. When she speaks, her voice comes out in a cool monotone. My family lived in Stuttgart. It was a nice enough place, I suppose. My parents worked as wage slaves for IFMU. My mom was a good person. Once upon a time, my father was a decent person as well. That's what mom always told me. But I never knew him that way. She pauses for a long moment. When she begins speaking again, some of the ice has fallen away from her voice. For the first time since you met her, Glory sounds alive. The dad that I knew was an old damaged Euro war vet who turned to hardline religion to make sense of the world. In Stuttgart, that meant either the Ritter Christi or the fascist cousins, the Kraus Ritters. My father chose the latter part. I still remember hiding in my room when my father had his Kraus Ritter brothers over for prayer group. They would drink and get rowdy, then spend an hour or two riling themselves up with talk about heretics and the devil's work. Then they go find some poor elf or dwarf, stomp the living shit out of him, and drown him in the Neckar. Meanwhile, I'd be holed up at home with mom, who would commemorate the event by drinking a bottle of wine and crying herself to sleep. Oh, sorry, Glory. No child should have to grow up around that. Thanks, Asopa. This is difficult for me. Thank you for making it easier. Anyway, aside from the fact that my dad and his buddies were a bunch of murderous assholes, life was pretty normal. I went to school, made friends, hung out with my mom, kid stuff. Then I turned 14 and everything went to shit. Glory pauses, then swallows hard, ever so slightly. Her cheeks flush red. Suddenly, she looks self-conscious, as if she's snapped out of a trance. As quick as it came, the flush of emotion disappears. Her voice frosts over. I don't want to talk about this anymore. You don't need to say anything that you don't want to. But if you ever want to talk, you know where to find me. Thank you for your understanding. Glory stares at you through cold, dead eyes. Now, let's get back to the job at hand, shall we? Okay. Load the fourth DVD. A soft whirring sound fills the air as the ancient DVD player spins the disc up to speed. The scratched LCD display comes to life and the menu fills the screen. Play track 1. 1 second, I need to get something to drink. My throat is all fucked. The DVD player ramps up speed, filling the air with a shrill, whining sound. Green Winter's face appears on the screen. A timestamp on the video reads 2050-04-28. This is it, the interview. Took some digging to find it, but here he is, my big brother, back in his prime. The note disappears, and for a moment, the screen goes black. Suddenly, image of a news correspondent flashes onto the screen. accompanied by a brief orchestral flourish. A timestamp in the upper right corner of the screen reveals the date, August 22, 2012. Thank you for joining us. We are coming to you live from the ruins of Sangenhausen, the fifth horse mountain town to be sacked by the Dragon Faurswing. Standing by my side is the head of Deal Defense, Dr. Adrian Vauclair. Dr. Vauclair has been hailed as leader in the effort to bring down Faurswing and end her reign of terror. Dr. Vauclair, tell us about your effort to bring down the dragon. Killing the monster has proven difficult, to say the least. Her speed and maneuverability in the air are extraordinary. Her scales repel, small arms fire, and her breath can melt steel. Our R&D teams have been working around the clock to devise a weapon capable of downing the beast. In the interim, we are providing material support for the Luftwaffe's attempts to shoot her down via conventional means. Herr Vauclair, why are you directing Deal's defenses energies to the killing of Faurswing? Are there corporate interests at play in this? Corporate interest? No. This is a matter of human interest. Innocent lives are being extinguished at an appalling rate. I am in position to help put an end to the slaughter, and so I must. It really is that simple. Dr. Vauclair, you must understand my skepticism. Our viewers aren't looking for a PR statement. They came to us for the truth. I'm afraid that I don't have time to go back and forth on this. Your viewers can think whatever they wish. My concern is helping the people affected by this tragedy. In that case, Dr. Vauclair, I thank you for sharing your valuable time with us. You're very welcome. To the viewers at home, stay safe and watch the skies. Salvation is coming, I promise. Again, that was Dr. Adrian Vauclair, CEO of Deal Defense. Dr. Vauclair is the chief architect of the military's current plan to bring down the Dragon Faurswing. Stay tuned for more late-breaking news on the battle for the Horse Mountains. We'll be right back. With that, the video comes to an end. Play track 2. Timestamp of the video reads 20:54:11:17. Holy shit, I just stumbled onto some of Adrian's old lab notes. I'm not gonna say how I came across these. Someone might get hurt if the wrong people watch this, but I've checked them against some of Adrian's old handwriting samples and they're legitimate. Holy shit, this is big. Alright, okay, back off, slow down, breathe. It takes a moment to calm himself. Okay, so these notes, they pretty much confirm something that I'd always suspected. The Luftwaffe didn't shoot down Faurswing. I mean, they tried. They pumped thousands of rounds into the air around her, and they lobbed rockets at her for months. Lost a lot of attack helicopters and fighter craft in the process, but none of those things were responsible for taking her down. The Dragonfall was caused by an experimental warhead, one that Adrian and his Deal Defense think tank designed. I don't understand the science of it, not even a little bit. But from what I can piece together, it looks like they designed some sort of chemical radiological agent that acts on the metagene. I don't think they fully understood what they were doing. It was 2012 after all. I mean, the process worked, but I don't know if they understood why it worked. Anyway, when a warhead full of this stuff comes into contact with a dual-natured creature like a dragon, say it drives a wedge between that creature's physical and astral forms, the body gets put into a sort of hibernation state and the spirit is forced out. It also looked like this process can maintain that state of separation indefinitely. And that's a pretty horrifying thought. But this corporated body's supposed to die in a few hours. I've heard horror stories about ghost-walking mages getting trapped in astral space, unable to rejoin with their meat. I heard they went crazy from the pain. If what I'm reading is accurate, it's entirely possible the Faurswing has been trapped outside of her body for over 40 years. Winters pushes his chair back and slaps the table in front of him. This is why Adrian was always so cagey about the subject of Faurswing and after the Dragonfall. He knew for a fact that she was alive, even if only technically. Her body crashed down in the SOX, sure, but she wasn't dead. The government wouldn't let Adrian tell the public about any of this, of course. It'd interfere with the lie that they were feeding us, that the Firewing was dead, and that everyone was safe, and that people should stop hiding in their basements and go back to work again. But privately, he always said that she was still out there, somewhere deep in the SOX. I'd always thought that he was paranoid, but I was wrong. He knew. So what does all of this mean? It means that the stories I got from that ghost rat suddenly sounds a lot more plausible. It means that Fauschwing is definitely alive, and that Adrian's disappearance is unquestionably tied to her survival. It also means that Germany is in deep shit, because if Fauschwing is still alive, it's only a matter of time before she rears her ugly head again. Okay, that's enough for one night. I'm gonna go get drunk. Play track 3. The DVD player ramps up the speed, filling the air with shrill, whining sound. Green Winter's face appears on the screen. He looks younger than you've ever seen him, but from the way he's carrying himself, he's clearly drunk. The timestamp on the video reads 20:33 on 05:15. Look, Adrian, I understand you. Lord knows I do. But you've got to drop this dragon fixation. People are starting to talk. There is a camera cut, and you find yourself looking at a young, handsome Dr. Adrian Vauclair. He wears a slight smile on his face. Oh, they're talking, are they? What a terrible shame. Damn it, Adrian, this is serious. You're a public figure. You could lose everything if you don't keep these ridiculous fairy tales to yourself. Hermie, my theories are not, as you call them, fairy tales. Dragons are real. I saved Germany from one. Have you forgotten? No, of course not. Everyone knows that you killed the Firewing. Stopped. Not killed. Fine, stopped, whatever. Winter swipes a bottle off the table in front of him, drains it, and drops it to the floor. Call it whatever you want. But Adrian, you're the only one who's still this obsessed with the damn thing. There aren't that many of them, and they're not taking over the world. Vauclair's voice is quiet, soft. Such is the cry of the cancer patient, unaware of what's killing him. I'm fine, not to worry. I'll smoke another cigarette. What's the harm? He doesn't see what's happening, but he winds up dead all the same. Winter snorts. Now you're just being maudlin. Look, Adrian. Vauclair shakes his head. His smile has disappeared. You mark my word, Hermie. Within 5 years, corporations, even countries, will fall to these creatures. And the worst part is, nobody will care. Oh, people will tut-tut about it. There may be a protest or two, but nobody will actually do anything to stop them. The immortal, all-powerful, utterly pitiless reptiles will seize more and more of our power, wealth, and territory, and we foolish, short-sighted mortals will never get it back. Green Winter chuckles uncomfortably, raises his hands in the air in a supplicating gesture. Come now, Aid. Vauclair talks over his brother's interruption. We could solve the problem, of course, but we are, as a species, are unwilling to invest our energy into problems that aren't staring us right in the face. As it was when climate change. So it is with dragons. I've accepted that, but you can't ask me to stop caring about it. Winter shakes his head. You're hopeless, Adrian. Fine, by all means, keep carrying. Just keep your conspiracy theories to yourself. I'm telling you this for your own sake. Vauclair sighs. He looks incredibly tired. Yes, Hermie, you're right, of course. I mustn't jeopardize my credibility with the masses. Winter's expression turns serious. His voice lowers. It's not just your credibility that I'm worried about. Talk is talk, but sometimes... He pauses, shakes his head. Sometimes I worry that you're really gonna go back to the SOX. Vauclair's tone softens again. Hermie, Winters cuts his brother off. A new intensity burns in his voice. Please, big brother, just drop all of this. Stop hunting the Firewing and start living your life again. If you won't do it for yourself, then for Christ's sake, do it for me. Vauclair nods, then looks away from the screen. All right, Hermie, I'll try. Play track 4. The rattling sound fills the air, and the disc grinds in his tray. A few seconds later, the screen fills with text. Meet and mate, singles dating profile. Oh, real now. I'm a fun-loving guy who is also a great listener. I love hiking, clubbing, and all kinds of pets. I'm looking for a cute, funny, adventurous girl who's down to party. I don't respond to profiles without pics. No orcs, no trolls. Sorry, ladies. Okay, then. Dystopia, a job well done, as usual. And the plan has worked swimmingly, I might add. I'm already patched into the Night Errant comm system. If and when they summon their high threat response team, I will know it. As soon as you're finished resupplying, I'd recommend heading directly to the Yevul district. Got it. Once you arrive, I'll do my best to keep you appraised of Night Errant movement. Finding a quiet way into the facility will be your job. Without eyes on the ground, I'm afraid that I won't be of much help. Considering the level of security that as technology is running, I wouldn't count on medical evac being available on this run. In fact, I'd bet against it. That means that if anyone falls unconscious in there, they'll be buried when the building collapses. Obviously, you can't let that happen. I suggest stocking up on medical supplies before leaving the Kraus Bazaar. No medevac for this run. Got it. One last thing, Dystopia. From Muller sent me a message while you were on the OTK run. She says that when you reach the sub-basement of the facility, you will find a security door. This door's maglock can be opened via a voice print recognition system. Apparently, Frau Muller surreptitiously recorded your meeting. She claims that she has added your voice print to the AS Technology database. Alright, go on. If our client is to be believed, you will have the necessary access to open the door. The rest of your team, however, will not. When you reach that door, I recommend grouping up. Only you can open it, and there's no saying what you'll find on the other side. Frau Muller didn't tell you? Unfortunately, no. Since your meeting, her messages have been erratic. In truth, I'm not sure that she knows, but she was very clear about one thing. You're going to have to get past that door to reach the generators. Go now, Dystopia. We need to strike while the iron is hot. I'm on it. Assemble a team and travel to AS Technology's Berlin compound to sabotage their bloodline research project. AS Technology, a giant in the world of technological and magical research. One of the most powerful and feared corporations on the planet. There are very few places in this world that the tendrils of AS Technology cannot reach. Germany is no exception. The black glass edifice of an assy pyramid dominates the courtyard of the Citadel Spandau. And countless other, more innocuous facilities can be found all over Berlin. The lab that they maintain in the Jewel district is one of these. According to your client, the project that the Assis are working on here is dangerous. So dangerous that she's paying you to bring the entire building down. The Jewel district is everything that your client made it out to be. Corporate complexes of an description crowd into one another, competing for the district's limited space. Lights burn in all of the windows, but the streets stand empty. No shoppers, no pedestrians, nothing but silence. Quiet out here. A friend of mine did a job here once. Told me that local wage slaves are all issued efficiency apartments deep inside the compound. Apparently the buildings are all linked up in an underground tram system. Bed to cubicle in less than 5 minutes. Most days the poor bastards don't even get to see the sunshine. He shakes his head. That ain't living, love. It's a slow death. Makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. Yeah, I fucking agree. Lucadur. Your comlink crackles with static. A moment later, the sonorous voice of Lucadur begins speaking into your ear. Hello again, Dystopia. I have an opportunity for you. You are in an AS Technology facility, yes? Well, that facility is also home to an executive. A small man who foolishly believes that he is beyond our reach. In this, he is mistaken. We would like you to deliver a message to this effect. As long as it doesn't get in the way of what I have to do. This is such a simple task, I can't imagine that it would. All that we need you to do is whisper a phrase into his ears. We are pleased that Project Vincent is going so well. If you want to embellish the fact that he has received this message in the one place where he feels the most secure, we wouldn't stop you. And that's all there is to it. A simple job, but an important one. I have already marked your target's current location on your PDA. We have great faith in you, Dystopia. Please don't disappoint us. Your comlink buzzes. There is a series of clicks as the connection is established. A moment later, Paul Amsel begins to speak. Alright, Dystopia. That's the AS Technology complex, just in front of you. You'll note the heavy security posted at the front door. Those are AS Technology employees. They're dangerous to be sure, but you could probably take them without too much difficulty. Unfortunately, ASIS have also contracted Knight Errant to protect this facility. They're the ones that we need to worry about. Just to reiterate, you'll want to keep a low profile on this run. Get in and out as quick as possible. Knight Errant keeps a high threat response team on site, and you don't want to tangle with them. Trust me on that. If you do need to go loud, give it everything you got. You're going to be reducing the building to smolder crater anyways, but I'd highly recommend stealth over a frontal assault. We won't start shooting until we run out of words. Good man, I'll begin by trying to find an alternate path into the building, something out of sight. Once the facility calls for help, you're going to be on a tight timetable. The shoddily built Soycav shop looks like it's closed. A human and dwarf, both in their early 20s, stand huddled in the courtyard. They don't seem to notice your approach. Heinrich, she's been gone a long time, Mira. I'm getting worried, aren't you? She's my girlfriend, Heinrich. Of course I'm worried, but she can handle herself. Oh, on the streets, yeah, but against the asses, I just don't know. She'll be okay. Brave words, but her tone tells a different story. It's plain state that she's worried sick. Oh man, I don't know what to do, Mira. And I still say that messing with the asses was a bad idea. What else were we supposed to do? That compound of theirs is lit up like a goddamn Christmas tree. They've got more power than they know what to do with. We need that juice, Heimer. Our solar collectors are garbage. If we can't keep the lights on after a few days of cloud cover, how do you think we're gonna survive the winter? I know, Mira, I know. But couldn't we have just bought some second-hand panels? They can't be that expensive, she sighs. We could have, sure, before Danny spent our last handful of yen on those forged keycards. She straightens up, puts on a brave face. She'll be fine. She'll be back any second now. Just you wait. I think this is where I'm gonna go, so I'm gonna just explore a little bit. These LTG tech's coveralls are smeared with sweat and grime. A scowl is plastered across her face. She takes a quick glance at you, then turns back to her work. Unless you're here to help me fix this panel, you'd better stay the hell out of my hair. Otherwise, I'll call security and have them drag you out. Actually, I think that I could help you. It looks like your problem is coming from somewhere upstream. See those connectors there? Hey, yeah, you're right. She looks up at you. The scowl has disappeared from her face, but she doesn't look happy either. Look, I really appreciate the help, but I have to do this myself. I'm already way behind, and corporate's gonna have my ass if I don't get it done before lunch. Well, good luck with that. Cheap corporate art looks like marble from distance, but up close it's clearly made of injection molded plasticrete. Searching the dead drop, you find a package with the telltale markings of the Shockenwellen writer. This is an open request for research data from AS Technology, Yavul District Branch. The ASI conduct their research in secrecy. They use their money and power to obscure the truth. We will uncover their secrets. We will share them with the world. We will level the playing field between AS Technology and its competition. The timely delivery of this information will be well rewarded. Freedom, equality, information, Shockenwellen writer. She looks up at you. her expression guarded. Yeah, what do you want? Can I help overhearing you two? Going up against technology, huh? We're not going up against anything. She gestures broadly at her own body. Do we look like Shadowrunners to you? We're just improvising, trying to stay in business. He gives Mira a significant glance. The only way we can. Could you two use some help? It sounds like your friend has gotten herself in trouble. Her tone is sharp. We'll be fine. What we don't need is a stranger butting into our business. So just go away, alright? Have a nice day. Mira, look at him. That's a professional. He can help us. He takes a step towards you, his arms wide. Please, man, we do need your help. She just doesn't want to admit it. If it's bad for the asses, it's good for me. I'll help you out. Oh, thank God, and thank you too. He turns to Mira. Give him a spare keycard that Danny brought. He's gonna fix this for us. You can see the mistrust in her eyes, but after a moment's hesitation, she begins to fish around in her bag. Finally, she produces a thick plastic keycard. She hands it to you. This will get you into the utility tunnel. Danny went down there about an hour ago. She said she'd be back in 10 minutes. Find her for us, okay? Please, bring her back safe. Somebody spent a fair amount of money on this utility hatch, and it's plastered with the anti-tampering warnings to prove it. Take a close look. A cursory inspection shows that the hatch has been maglocked. A fair sophisticated model from the looks of it. Short of using an authorized keycard, there's no way you're getting past this thing. Insert your keycard. The indicator light on the maglock changes from red to green. There is an audible thunk, and the hatch pops open, revealing a ladder leading down to the utility tunnel below. The lock appears to be short-circuited. In an instant, you size up the scene playing out in front of you. A young elf dressed in the same shabby chic clothes that the cafe kids wear. Danny, cornered with no place to run. A pair of Technology security drones closing in for the kill. The drones are low-grade, but they're armed, and Danny's hands are empty. She's in trouble, and she knows it. The futility of her situation is written all over her face. An instant later, the drone sensors alert them to your presence. They spin in unison to face you. Intruders detected, weapons detected, lethal force authorized. Danny's eyes widen, and she hits the deck. The panic spills out of her in a scream. Look out! Don't worry. Danny looks you up and down. When she's finishing sizing you up, she puts her hands on her hips and smiles. Thank you for the rescue. It takes a pair to bring a weapon into Aussie territory. Everybody knows that they shoot first if you're packing. I wouldn't have risked it. Life in the shadows is all about taking risks. Yeah, well, life running a soy calf shop is a little more my speed. Not that there aren't risks. There's always the chance that some drunk will break your window, or a gang will try to shake you down for protection. Those things I can handle, but this... She stares down at the smashed drone and slowly shakes her head. Anyway, yeah, I'll admit it, I got in over my head, but only a little bit. The drones wouldn't have shot me, I wasn't armed, but I wasn't looking forward to spending the next week in an Aussie interrogation cell. I've heard the stories. They're true, love. He shakes his head at her. Word to the wise, if you're fool enough to try something like this again, carry a gun. Better to be shot than let them take you. I'll take your word for it. I'm not planning on making a habit of this. She slapped the side of a power conduit with a smile, and I shouldn't need to. The tap's all hooked up and ready. Impressive. Heinrich wasn't convinced that you could pull it off. Yeah, well, it's amazing what you can teach yourself to do when your livelihood depends on it. Iger leans in to inspect her work. Looks like a pretty solid connection. Nothing's jumping out at me as being obviously wrong. I'd say that you're probably good to go. She straightens, casts a glance back at you. You know, Dystopia, we could use this setup to our advantage. In theory, we could manufacture a power spike from here, overload the Ass's entire power grid, without disabling the generator's safety overrides. It wouldn't cause any permanent damage, but the confusion might give us an opening to get into the building. She shrugs. It could be the opening we've been looking for. Danny's eyes goes wide. Whoa, hold up, if you do that, they'll trace it. As technology will find the power tap and they'll come down on us. We can make it worth your while. No, you can't. There's nothing you could give us that would make up for what you're talking about doing. So please, just drop it, okay? You're right, nobody needs that kind of heat. I'll find another way in. She breathes a sigh of relief. Thanks. You know, some people say that Shadowrunners are ruthless criminals, guns for hire, just out for the money. It's good to see that it isn't always the case. I'm gonna bail on out of here. I've been stuck in this tunnel too long already, and like you said, the others are worried. But if there's ever anything that we can do for you, come by the shop. You'll be welcome at our place for life. Yeah, we'll use that as last ditch effort. Danny looks up at you with a smile. There he is, our hero. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for bringing her back to us. Yeah, thanks, and thanks for helping to keep the asses off our tail. If Danny had been captured, it would have been bad. She reaches up, grabs Danny's hand, clutches it tight. Worse than bad, babe. A lot worse. She looks down at Mira and smiles, squeezes her hand tight. Anyway, thanks again for the rescue. We all owe you a lot. If there's ever anything that any of us can do for you, you just let us know. A stern-looking young woman in a uniform of the Technology security captain steps forward. An assault rifle is slung over her shoulder, and she half raises it at your approach. This is a secure facility, sir. Show your ID or move along. Look, I lost my ID. Perhaps we could come to some arrangement. No ID, no access. If you really did lose your card, you can take it up with corporate. She waves your way with her rifle. Now move along. I'm too much of a good guy to fuck it up for him, so I'll just shoot my way in. I've got all the ID that I need right here. Bloodline. The glittering halls of Das Technology Facility stand in sharp contrast to the Merger Corp's unsavory reputation. Everything in here screams wonder, from the mirror polished on the floors to the obsidian inlays in the walls. The generators and the Bloodline project lie somewhere beneath your feet. You know, Dystopia, when I told you to enter the facility quietly, I did not mean start a bloody firefight in the streets outside of the building. He lets out an exasperated sigh. Oh well, the cat's out of the bag now. You'll just have to make the best of it. Now that any hope of stealth has gone out the window, you'll have to rely on speed to complete your objective. I've marked an elevator on your PDA. Get to it. It will take you where you need to be. Have they alerted the Night Errant team that you told me about? The entire facility is under full alert, Dystopia. I'm afraid that the high threat response team is already en route to your location. I've uploaded my best estimate of their ETA to your PDA. Good luck to you and your team. You're going to need it. screen to this terminal comes alive at your approach. A NAS technology login screen awaits your password. Hack the terminal and scan its content. Pay data acquired. How do I speak with the... Guess I can't. I can't fucking move at all. The fuck? Your stomach lurches slightly as the elevator plummets downward into the bowels of the technology facility. A faint but omnipresent thrumming sound raises the hair on the back of your neck. The deeper you go, the more certain you become. This place is vibrating with power, both from the generators and from something else. Dystopia, I'm afraid that I have some bad news. The high threat response team is on its way. It's only a matter of time before they close in on your position. You'll never make it back to the elevator in time, but I've found another exit point for you. There is a security door near the generators. I will mark it on your PDA. When you're ready to make your regress, this will be your best call. Expect heavy resistance. Dystopia, good luck. Keep moving, Dystopia. You're almost there. When you reach the control panel for generators, the password Solotl should allow you to disengage their safety overrides. Set the destruct and get out. See you back at the Cross Bazaar. might do, so I'm just supposed to come. This data store contains records of all data pertaining to the facility's day-to-day operations. Scan the node for pay data. A cursory explanation of the data stores turns up nothing of value. There are hundreds of log files, and majority of which contain spending and logistics reports. Walk away. Make up your mind where you're going. What the hell is going on in this place? A maglock with a voice print recognition system has been affixed to this wall. According to Amsel, Frau Müller has already logged your voice print into the system. But there's only one way to be sure. Okay, open up. Authorization dystopia. Voice print analyzer. The screen background changes from blue to green. Access granted. You hear the sound of heavy machinery rumbling to life. A moment later, the lock on the door releases. The door slides open, revealing a group of figures wearing green cloaks. The tallest of the figures stands just in front of you, a slight smile on his face. His eyes are full of intelligence and malice. As technology blood mage, at last our intruder has arrived. His voice is slow and soft, with a slight Aslaner accent. You're a Shadowrunner here on a job. This just much is obvious, so tell me, who has sent you here? The man is going to bring this place down. That's all you need to know. The blood mage pauses for a moment, inspecting you. Such insolence, such hubris. He shakes his head. So very, very foolish. You will answer my question, pest, whether you want it or not. His mouth twists into a cruel smile. In a single motion, smooth motion, he pulls a knife from his belt and draws it along his own forearm. The blood leaves a stripe of bright red blood in its wake. Still smiling, he begins to chant. Attack him before he can finish. The blood mage is caught off guard, but only for a moment. He adjusts with inhuman speed, sending his ritualistic blade clattering to the ground and dropping into a defensive stance. Motherfucker. Easy there. should hack with that one. Träffa. The terminal's display blossoms to life at your approach. Reams of technical information and arcane figures fill the screen. Unfortunately, none of it written in a language that you can understand. Attempt to decipher the language. Sweeping your eyes over the written material, you recognize a number of words with Latin and Spanish roots, but the language is something altogether different. Many of the words are long and exotic, and there appears to be a form of pictographic language interspersed throughout the text. The best guess is that this is an ancient form of Nahuatl. Why the Assis are using it here is beyond you, judging by the amount of arcane symbols on display. It's a fair bet that these files are related to the Bloodline project. If you could find someone capable of translating them, the information contained within would almost certainly shed some light on what the Ossis have been up to, and what Frau Muller was so afraid of. On the other hand, if the Bloodline project is really as dangerous as Frau Muller has made it out to be, it might be better to just bury it here. If this information were to fall into the wrong hands, it would invalidate the entire purpose of this run. The control panel blinks with a featureless command prompt. Disable generator's safety overrides. Enter administrator level password. Overload the generators. Illegal operation. Play console and administrator for further information. Solotl. Do it. Overload the generators. The terminal processes your command. An instant later, a high-pitched screeching noise erupts from the generators. Tremors rock the facility, shaking the ground under your feet. Over the building speakers, a synthesized female voice repeatedly states the obvious. Generator overload imminent. Please evacuate the facility. That's done it. Come on, boss. Let's get the hell out of here. Gradually, the ringing in your ears clears and the world comes into focus. The generator overload did its job, just as Frau Muller said it would. The technology facility has been reduced to a smoldering crater strewn with a chaotic jumble of cracked marble, melting plastic, and broken support beams. You can barely make out the faint veil of approaching sirens. They're still far away, but they won't be long. It's funny, I've heard lots of rumors about the Assis over the years, stories about making monsters and consorting with evil spirits, that sort of thing. I'd always assumed that they were urban legends at best, or xenophobia at worst. Definitely not true at any rate. It looks like I was wrong. The Assis are boogeymen, just like the story said. It's enough to make a man rethink some things. Do we have anything to worry about, Dietrich? Any chance the Technology Corporate could use blood magic to track us? After an explosion like that, he brushes an errant flake of ash off his shoulder. Nah, boss, not a chance. Anything we might have left behind, any blood or skin or hair, has been cooked right through. We'll be fine after we clear out of here. The approaching sirens grow louder. They're now accompanied by another sound, the whine of approaching rotorcraft. What they were doing in there was wrong. More than that, it was terrible. They had to be stopped, and we stopped them. It is as simple as that. We can talk about this later. We don't want to be here when those response vehicles arrive. She puts a hand on your shoulder. Come on, Dystopia. Let's get back home. Memories of the explosion that toppled the technology facility keep you company on your ride back to the Crash Bazaar. You barely managed to outrun the blast. Now the facility lies buried under thousands of kilograms of twisted rebar and reinforced concrete. No doubt a considerable blow to AS Technologies' activities here in Berlin. Mission successful. It's time to get paid. Corm gained 12. Nice. I do believe I want another point in body because I've been feeling a bit squishy. Okay, that's it for now. But thanks for watching, and I might be back later. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow. So, see you then.